Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Next Mile. We wanted to share with you a special episode where we take insights from multiple of our previous guests and compile those insights around one single topic. With most firms in the thick of their year-end planning, we selected 4 clips from 4 world-class leaders on how they think about integrating their tech stack in order to serve their advisors best. One debate is on having an open or a closed architecture for technology. Nelly Mubashi, CEO of Northwest Asset Management and RIA Innovations, shares how her team supports an organization where advisors can choose between systems like Tamarack and Orion. Here's Nelly.
So when the advisor chooses, let's say I'm just going to go with Orion, for example. So if they choose Orion, all the advisors that are on Orion have an operations person or an operations team that is supporting that platform. So from the advisor's perspective, all they see is what they have access to. So they have access to the custodian, they have access to Orion, they have access to ShareFile and whatever other softwares that we may have, for example. And so on the advisor side, they don't see a difference because all they see is that world that they're logging into. From our perspective, we don't have a lot of choices. So really, we're just maintaining Orion and Tamarack, ShareFile, and any other software that we may have. But the main softwares, I would probably say ShareFile, Orion, and Tamarack, those are all being serviced and reconciled by our back office. And our back office is pretty trained and experienced on both softwares. I mean, we've actually had Tamarack since 2011. So I would probably say that's the oldest software that we have, and everybody knows how to use it very well. Orion is fairly new. We've had it for the last 4 years, and everybody has gotten up to speed. So while it may look like a challenge, it's not that hard to I guess, work on those 2 different softwares, because it's not working on the software for the same advisor. I mean, one advisor chooses one, but not both. I mean, so an advisor cannot choose to be on Tamarack and Orion. They have to choose one of them. So it's not that complicated. And again, we have an operations and back office team that takes care of that.
That's great. I love that. And yeah, I don't know why an advisor would choose to be on multiple portfolio management systems at one time. That would be...
that would be a nightmare.
Okay,
sure.
but I want to double click real quick because it sounds like your ops team is incredible. But one of the pain points that we've found, and it sounds like you guys are handling this well, but firms that are multi-platform like you are, your team is supporting multiple platforms, even though the advisor is picking one. We've found when you're trying to pull data on how your business is doing, or different like net new flows, because Tamarack thinks about it differently than Orion does, or all of that type of stuff. I mean, do you have like an Excel wizard who's in your office who's exporting and pulling all kinds of data together and stuff like that? Or you as the CEO, how are you getting a proper view of the business when you have data and stuff across multiple platforms?
The different platforms. Good question, actually. And I would probably say that used to be more of a challenge before, maybe a few years back. We kind of made it work with CRM. So we use Salentica, Salesforce based, and we sync all the data into the CRM, and we sort it that way. And we created reports and workflows that actually give us the data that we need. So for our ADV, for example, we have a report that pulls up information on, client household numbers and age and all of that. So it's made it easier for us to handle that data. But I would probably say it's not 100%. We've actually started talking about how can we make life easier. That is still, I would probably say, an ongoing conversation that we're having. But for sure, I mean, I would say CRM has made our life easier because it has solved a lot of the questions and issues that we had before, where we had to work on an Excel sheet from 2 different databases using Tamarack and Orion.
Thank you, Nelly, for sharing how having multiple systems can cause a disconnect for reporting. Even with a well-trained veteran team like Nelly's, consistency becomes a challenge with multiple systems. The other school of thought is to consolidate advisors into one set of systems and processes. Carrie Delgott, the president, COO, and CCO of Wescott Financial Advisory Group, discusses the benefits of having your organization aligned on one single technology stack. Even with the desire for organizational alignment on technology, Carrie emphasizes the need for firms to be flexible on how advisors experience those tools. Here's Carrie.
I don't know that allowing for all of the various different models is something that a firm will be able to continue for maybe a short duration of time, right? While you're digesting, but the loss of efficiency and collaboration opportunity, I think, doesn't make a lot of sense to me, quite frankly. So absolutely moving everybody into one set of systems, one set of processes. That being said, there is segmentation that takes place. So every experience is not the same. I'll use this example. The firm that we acquired, the large firm that we acquired, had a niche with Merck executives.
Okay, interesting.
Merck, the organization. And so there were certain processes that were very specific to the Merck experience, I will call it. And we, again, purposefully made the decision as to keeping that client segment and a few of those experiences different from the rest of the population of clients, but also be thinking about where that experience could be leveraged. So there's still some differentiation maybe in process. We don't have any differentiation in tools, I will say. But I do think of it from a client segmentation perspective, there certainly can be some differentiation if there is a need. But it's something to really think through.
Thank you, Carrie, for sharing how a firm can balance having a focused technology stack while still providing advisors the flexible experience they need to excel. No matter which path is best for your firm, it is important to have an executable plan. Phillip Hamman, president and CEO of Linscomb Wealth, just finished a 5-year plan before coming on Next Mile. He discusses the process of putting together a second 5-year plan for their technology strategy. Phillip shares his insights on how technology can empower his firm to provide unreasonable hospitality to their clients. Here's Phillip.
I think for any firm like ours, technology is really important. Just finished a conversation earlier this morning with our senior management group about talking about a 5-year technology roadmap. So we have a very good tech stack today that if you're in the industry, you'd probably look at and say, okay, yeah, that makes sense for the size and type of firm you are. But we're really trying to think strategically about where we want to go from a technology standpoint. But more importantly, I really want to bring that back to, the idea of how the impact we want to have from technology. And of course, we're always going to bring that back to the idea of, can we deliver that unreasonable hospitality? How do we use technology to free up time for our advisors and others to make sure that they've got a lot of time to deliver that highly personalized experience to clients? So important that we have it, important that we keep up with the changes and continue to develop those tools. But we're really looking at technology to make sure we have more time to focus more on the human element of the business, not so much, or maybe I'd say it a little bit differently, being careful that you don't end up with, wow, client, we've got this self-service technology-driven business model, and that you remove what's made that human element, which is what's made the business so successful, going all the way back to Dan Linscomb when he started the firm in 1971.
Yeah, well stated. Are there any pieces of technology in the tech stack that you think are providing outsized returns for your firm at the moment?
I would say we're getting what we would expect out of technology today. I think it's some of what we're looking at on the roadmap that would deliver the outsized, the tools and technology that we're evaluating that removes that administrative burden for our advisors in particular. If you go have a good meeting with a client, you've got a whole bunch of notes, and how do you make sure you get that in the system and track it and summarized and better prepare you for next time? I mean, those are great examples. If you can figure out how to implement those in a way that check all the boxes, including the regulatory boxes, those are fantastic tools to have, because it comes back to, now my advisor has more time to be looking at their list of clients and figuring out what they can do to better serve those clients.
Thank you, Phillip, for sharing how the value of establishing a technology plan best positions your team to serve clients.
This podcast is brought to you by Turncast. We make game-changing content for fintech and financial services companies. Learn more at turncast.com.
Hey, Next Mile listeners, Jessica here from Milemarker. We talk a lot about reaching that next mile in your business journey, but let's be for real for just a sec. If you're an advisor, how much time are you spending wrestling with data instead of actually advising your clients? I've worked firsthand with tons of advisors over the years, helping them achieve real success and breakthrough growth. But I keep seeing the same roadblock everywhere. Brilliant advisors stuck spending hours pulling reports from their different systems, trying to create meaningful client presentations, and struggling to get a clear picture of their firm's growth. Does this sound familiar? Here's what I've learned. The advisors who are scaling and growing aren't necessarily smarter. They've just figured out how to get control over their data. That's exactly why I joined Milemarker, because they've built a solution that changes everything for how you manage and grow your firm. At Milemarker, we specialize in 3 game-changing areas for firms like yours: streamlining your data management so all your systems talk to each other, automating those repetitive reporting tasks that eat up your valuable time, and creating seamless advisor and client experiences that actually help you grow your firm. The difference is night and day. Instead of spending your evenings pulling together client reports, imagine having that data automatically organized and presented exactly how you need it. Instead of guessing about your firm's performance, imagine having real-time insights that help you make strategic decisions. If you are ready to stop being held back by your data and start using it to fuel your growth, I'd love to have a conversation with you. We're offering Next Mile listeners a complimentary consultation to explore exactly how we can help you transform your advisory practice. Don't let outdated processes keep you from reaching that next mile in your firm's growth. Visit milemarker.co and mention the Next Mile podcast, and I'll personally make sure to get the insights you need to take control of your data and scale your practice. Because your time should be spent building your business, not buried in spreadsheets.
Next, we have Michael Batnick, managing partner at Ritholtz Wealth Management, where he shares what it's like to be executing a technology plan at a hyper-growth firm. He's candid about what technologies are core to Ritholtz's success. He also shares the frustration about picking the right tools for the team and having them not integrate properly. Here's Michael.
So at the hub is Salesforce. And I think if we can go back in time, I don't know if they're the provider that we would have chosen. I think certainly when we started, we bit off more than we can chew. And alongside them at the hub, I would say is Orion. I remember uploading all of our client data to Orion in 2013. And I just remember thinking, not that I knew anything about business at the time or the industry for that matter, but I was like, this is a good business because it was a pain in the ass. And that with every one of those giant data hubs. So we've been to Orion forever. And then I would say the third part of the hub has got to be the custodians. And so we custody with Fidelity and Schwab and most recently Altruist. And then from there, you've got the spokes. And so what do you want to surround the hub with? And we work with Virgil, which is a tool that I had been looking for, begging for, because when we get prospective client statements, 97 pages, 7 accounts, 30 stocks, 14 ETFs, 8 mutual funds, and private placements. It's like, what am I looking at here? Impossible. So for those unfamiliar with Virgil and Word Investor, I should say, so you upload the PDF and boom, you've got magic there. So we're a power user of that. We recently brought on wealth.com. We work with Dispatch on the data integration side, but we have seen everything. And there are a lot of tools and companies and some that we've invested in that I would love to just turn on. But it's not fair to the people that actually have to do the work, make sure everything is connecting, get trained, teach the ops team, teach the advisors, make sure all the data is humming, because it doesn't hum. In fact, it does the opposite of hum. It vomits every other week. But there is, on the tech side, there is an overabundance of choices. And I think that there is an oversaturation. And I'm looking around a lot of these tech companies. When you go to some of these conferences, you just see all of these booths. You're like, okay, all right, doing that. All right. And not to be a dick about it, but there's a lot of choice and it's hard.
Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people are dealing with is there's maps on maps, right? We've got the Kitsis map. We've got now AI and data infrastructure map. We've got marketing technology map. There's maps everywhere. And it sounds cheesy, but there's no GPS on what's the right stuff for your firm. So
there's a lot. And even just thinking through like some of the other tech that we use, like, all right, Zoom, some of the compliance software that we use. And I'm sure there are others that I'm not remembering, but I was at T3 last year talking about the tech stack and what that looks like and how much money we're spending on it. And thinking like, are we really better off? Are the clients better off? Who's winning here? And certainly there have been improvements. I don't want to make believe that there aren't, but there's just like chronic frustrations. And, that's why you guys exist, or one of the reasons why.
Yeah, for sure. I think that is. I mean, I've spent the better part of 10 years in this industry talking to people about how integrations are broken. But a lot of the reasons why integrations are broken is in one of the things you said, which is your hub actually consists of three things. If you go to most other industries out there, the hub is one thing. So you can build integrations to the one hub, but it's okay. Do I build it to Orion? Do I build it to Salesforce? Do I build it to custodians? Wait, they all have different requirements. They have different reasons they want to take this. The line is 6, 7, 8 months long for the hot new things to integrate with these places that have distribution. And then, oh, wait, I think we've thought about this, but when the product you sell is advice, it is inherently not quantitative. It's like you can get 5 different ways you want to do this. It's hard to build flows, when everybody's got a different opinion or edge case or way that they want to work with somebody.
And then oftentimes some of the newer entrants are encumbered by just what the bigger players will do. Like if somebody just wants to turn you off or build it or squash you for reasons that might be outside your purview, like it's a jungle out there.
It is. Yeah. So I appreciate you sharing that, because I think that's a big thing that we see every single day. And it's like, how do we give people control over the experience they want with the data from the tools that they already use, and then make it easy to onboard new tools so that you don't disrupt the flow of people that are working every single day.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael, for sharing that the reality is picking the best tool is not enough to drive results for your firm. No matter where your firm is at on your technology journey, Milemarker is here to help, because we believe progress never stops. It's all about the journey, not the destination, and we want to help you measure your progress. Whether you're expanding your advisor's choices or consolidating those choices for efficiency, whether you're setting up your long-term vision or you have found yourself flustered with how your plan is going, Milemarker is here to help. We believe wealth management firms should own their data and control their destiny. If you're ready to take ownership of your data, reach out to us at connect@milemarker.co or go to our website, milemarker.co. Thank you for tuning in to this special episode, and a special thank you again to our amazing guests for the incredible insights that we receive. Nelly, Carrie, Phillip, and Michael, we appreciate it. That's been another episode of Next Mile. Please make sure you click follow or subscribe wherever you're paying attention to this. And if you would, leave us a 5-star review so that other people can find this podcast and hear great conversations like the ones I had that led to this episode. But until next time, enjoy every mile.